The other day, I was looking through some YouTube shorts, as you do, and I came across this video.
Because if you talk to 1,000 billionaires and you say, well, how many of you made $1 billion investing in gold? And the answer is 0. And if you go to 1,000 wealthy families and say, now that you're wealthy, are you going to go buy $1 billion of gold? The answer is no. And you say, well, we've got digital gold. It's great. It moves at the speed of light. It's programmable. You can teleport it. It's great. And they go, well, that's nice, but I don't own any gold. Okay, I can't find anybody that owns gold. The people that are advocates of gold don't own gold.
Yeah, very interesting. Let's dive in and discuss. Hello everybody, Backyard Bullion here, and welcome to another Precious Metal Ramble. So that intro, that little clip, was quite inflammatory towards gold, wasn't it? It's a bit anti-gold, and if you actually watch to the end of it, you'll know why, because they are there basically saying that Bitcoin is the easiest alternative to any commodity out there. So there's a bit of bias in that, but it did get my brain juices going about gold and silver, investing, stacking, whatever you want to call it. Can you make money on it? Is it something that's actually worth doing? Or is it just a little bit of a lie that we tell ourselves as stackers, as members of a shiny appreciation society, that we just like this stuff and actually it's good for us, when realistically it's not necessarily the best thing that we might be able to invest in. Now, I am not an investment guru. I am not giving financial advice. I just like to talk about these kind of things because I like learning and I like hearing what you guys have got to say down in the comments about this topic. So please feel free to comment down below and perhaps tell me which of the coins on the table here is your favorite of them all. And whilst you're at it, don't forget to hit the subscribe button if you're not subscribed already for content just like this in the future. So, can you get rich with gold and silver? I think that's the biggest crux here, and there's a lot of misinformation in this whole sphere of influence for gold and silver, that gold and or silver will make you a millionaire, as Del Boy Trotter would say on Only Fools and Horses. And that's just not very likely to happen. I've been a proponent of the shoot the moon scenario never happening. So we'll get that out of the way straight away. The speaker in that first part of the intro there was dead right. You're not going to become a billionaire by investing in gold and silver. That's just not going to happen. But generating wealth with gold and silver is different, in my opinion, than just simply buying a whole ton of gold and silver, sitting on it for 20 years and selling it at a higher price, because arguably there are better investment vehicles along the way. I think one of the most famous investors in the world, Warren Buffett, once said that gold is pretty, it's useless. You don't do anything with it. It doesn't yield anything. It doesn't give you anything. It just sits there. You have to pay to insure it. You have to pay to store it. You have to pay to ship it eventually when you get to the other end of its life cycle. It just doesn't do anything, and you're basically preserving the wealth that you have. But there is a place for it in these big portfolios. And if we listen to the rest of that video, which I'll try and put a link to as a short in the description box below, they do talk about it essentially ending up being a fringe investment for 1 to 2, 3% of portfolios, and big investors out there don't really have gold and silver. So I'm going to agree with a fair amount of what that speaker says there. There is no quick, easy way to become a millionaire, billionaire with gold and silver. And if you're of a certain wealth level already, where you've got some disposable income, should you look to buy gold even in the first place? My argument would be probably not, just to have some different assets like houses, like have a house, pay off your mortgage if you've got a mortgage before you buy gold and silver. If you really want to diversify because you don't want to or can't pay off that mortgage very quickly, then that's also fine too. The other good thing about gold and silver, though, is it's a savings mechanism. And this is where I'm going to kind of counter the argument with the speaker there at the beginning of the video, who says that you can't get wealthy by investing in gold and silver. Saving money makes you wealthier, in my opinion. Like, a penny saved is a penny earned. That is a phrase most assuredly. Today's video is sponsored by Ather Energy Corp, whose ticker symbol is SASK and can be found down in the description box below. You can also find links to their website and corporate presentation, which we'll have a brief look at here today. Something very different, of course, to owning gold and silver, I'll grant you that, but equally as important, in my opinion, to the future of clean and viable energy production, which is just ever growing at the moment. Now, it's very important to remind you all that I am not offering financial advice. They are a junior exploration company, and that is something that is very risky compared with owning things like gold and silver. But unlike gold and silver, you can't hold uranium physically, so investing in that market pretty much is limited to its extraction and exploration. And Aether Energy certainly does represent an interesting way to do that. So if you thought the gold markets were small by comparison, then uranium markets are even smaller by degrees of magnitude. There are a very limited number of uranium-based companies, and many that don't even focus solely on uranium exploration. Aether Energy Corp are all about finding and developing that valuable resource in an ever more popular market. As the need for energy continues to grow, this could bring a lot more interest into the uranium sector. With a limited number of options for big capital investments, it means that when the market moves, it can move in a very volatile way, and that's something to bear in mind. It can be volatile in both directions. Aether Energy Corp have a dominant land package that has exposure to the exploration of uranium primarily in Canada. They have currently 8.4 million acres of land, and that's even before they start massive exploration expansion. This positions them very well for the growth of the sector. Exploration of natural resources is all about probability over a large area. Aether Energy Corp have one of the largest portfolios, giving them an unparalleled profile in the uranium exploration industry. Now, with all that said, this is not investment advice, remember, and I would caution anybody to do their own in-depth research before investing in Aether Energy Corp. If you're interested, go and check them out. There is a link in the description box below to all the bits and bobs you've seen here today, including their corporate presentation, which is well worth a deep dive. Once again, thank you to Aether Energy Corp for sponsoring today's video. Now back on we go to our main topic. In my opinion, there has been no better vehicle in my life, in my world, than having gold and silver to buy to save money with. Now, depending on how you are in this world in terms of premiums, where you can buy, if you're in America, you can get silver pretty low to the ground. But if you're in the UK, you're going to lose 20% right off the bat minimum when you buy it. If you buy it over the spot price that it is, if you go and sell it back to a dealer, you're going to get spot price. But you have to pay VAT on these things. If you buy it secondhand, you might get it a bit less than 20% over, but you're paying over what it's, inverted commas, worth. So maybe gold, maybe something like sovereigns, low to the ground, where you have this low premium. It's basically a percentage point over spot. You can then get your money out of it where possible. And just the simple act of putting goals in place to save money for is one of the most incredible things that you can do for your own personal finances to make sure that you're saving money over a long period of time. And that's one thing that I hear so many times from people who've got started into gold and silver that they have done. They have saved and they have generated additional wealth within their own sphere of influence because they've saved money instead of going out and buying the next latest TV that they want to upgrade to, or a new car, or just the latest iPhone as soon as it comes out. One simple trick that I've always used is just have like a 1.5 to 2 year lag on some of these new gadgets. You don't need the latest iPhone because you can buy it for half the price or less in a year's time. It's that simple, and the technology doesn't change so drastically that you're going to miss out. But there's this FOMO in this world, this real sort of fear of not having what everyone else has got or everyone else is perceived to have, and that perception of success that comes with it as well, I think is really quite it's quite interesting in this world for sure. And saving money and having that is great, and it will pay you dividends, inverted comma dividends, because gold doesn't pay you dividends. Like Warren Buffett said, it doesn't do anything over its life cycle. But in my opinion, as I said, a penny saved is a penny earned, and you can really get to grips with that by saving within the metrics of gold and silver. Now, it's more risky than putting money in the bank, but then there's the counter argument of money in a bank just being devalued over time. So there's lots of different schools of thought on that. Now, the other thing I want to talk about is, can you actually make money with gold and silver? And in that little clip, there's a section where he talks about some of the biggest players, some of the biggest advocates in the world of gold and silver, not actually owning any gold and silver themselves. There's a few really big players in the market that will have some element of it, but it's all pretty much going to be on paper. Or if it's going to be physical stuff, it's not like you and me where we have a bunch of sovereigns just sitting in a safe at home. It's going to be in secure storage. Maybe it's a good delivery bar, 1,000-ounce silver, 400-ounce gold, whatever it might be. There's definitely going to be something somewhere for some of these big players. But also, the sheer invaluable nature of gold relative to billions or millions of pounds certainly is a huge factor against owning gold and silver. Now, one very interesting little thing that I've just fell down the rabbit hole, and don't worry, I'm not going to go off and rush out and do this, but for example, diamonds are significantly more valuable per sort of weight and per sort of space considerations than, of course, gold and silver. And if you were in that billionaire category and you wanted something physical to hold that's got wealth, you wouldn't choose gold. I mean, you could still have a lot of value in those bits of gold, but in the grand scheme of things, it's not going to make a slightest dent in your finances if you're a billionaire owning £1 million worth of gold, which is quite the heavy load of gold, let's be quite frank. Then you're going to be in a little bit of trouble if you are if you're looking at doing that. Whereas, of course, like things like diamonds. So it was very interesting. I fell down that rabbit hole, but don't worry, this channel is not going to be somebody who goes and buys diamonds. Goodness me, I do not know enough about them. I do not know enough about anything. Interesting that I've just said that, though. I have bought recently something which you'll see next week. In fact, I'm going to very quickly grab it, because I want to give you a bit of a sneak peek if you're in the Cool Kids Club, if you've watched to this part of the video. So this is going to be featured in a video on Wednesday, because whilst this is not bought as a investing in the stones, in the precious stones, because they're not particularly precious stones, I bought this at spot price essentially for the gold content. It's a beautiful necklace, or sorry, bracelet, that's the word I'm looking for, with some various different little trinket gemstones in. It's beautiful. And the topic of that video is going to be all about buying scrap gold like that, scrap jewelry. Is it something we can think about investing in? Because it can be really quite cheap if you get it at the right price. But there are issues and risks. But I saw that, and I know the light's really bad and you can't quite see it. Hopefully when I film next week, it's going to be incredible. So anyway, Cool Kids, thank you if you've watched to this point. Let me know how cool you think that is, and let me know if you're going to be watching it next time. And if you don't know what I'm talking about as a Cool Kids and you've been watching to the 9th minute of my video, then hit the subscribe button. Come on. You know you want to help me get to 100,000 subscribers. So back to my main point here. Can we make money with gold and silver? So realistically, you've got to look at it like this. If you're going to try and make money with gold and silver, you've got to treat it like a business. And then it becomes like anything else that any business sells. And that's what essentially the dealers do. You've got to look at some of the big dealers out there, and they make millions of pounds of profit. And that's not because they're selling at huge margins, although sometimes the margins will be quite big, but they're selling in massive volume. They're putting in the work, the labor, they've got the logistics set up, they've got everything around them, the supply chain, the customer base, just everything is there and it's done, and it can be utilized to their advantage to make money. So yes, you can make money with gold and silver. And I've only got myself to sort of explain as a hand-poured silver creator. Even me just sitting here at YouTube on my kitchen hob when I got started, I've set up a business which over the course of the last 9 years has probably turned over close to £1 million worth, not including all of the group orders that we did, which is probably close to another million, and then all of the Backyard Bullion Buyers Club sales we did last year, which was about 800,000. Just even me, if you put the work in, you can do it. And it's just self-evident that you can make money with gold and silver. You just have to put that labor in. There's no such thing as a free lunch in this world. So that's, I think, the general message here, that whilst there are a lot of really sort of positive people about gold and silver out there in this world that'll be like, yep, gold and silver are going to make you a millionaire next year. As Del Boy said in Only Fools and Horses, we'll be Only Fools and Horses, not Horses. Anyway, Only Fools and Horses, he goes, we'll be millionaires next year, Rodders. No, you won't with gold and silver. You really won't. And even if you were, those millions that you would have in the gold and silver would be buying you a loaf of bread, because the reason that it's worth $1 million is because your currency is worth nothing. So you've got to think of it in that term. But you can make money on gold and silver if you do it as a business, as a hobby that turns into a business, for example. If you do it right, you can. You've only got to look, for example, here at this lovely 2010 Britannia. I bought this from Atkinson's back in 2000. I'll get it in focus first. Come on, camera. You can do it. Goodness me, it's struggling today with the light. It's coming. No, is it? Come on. There we go. Right, so I bought this back in 2017 for £1,015. So look, you can make money on gold and silver. I've made money on this coin, but the argument is that that money that I've made there could have also been invested in something like the stock market, or it could have been in a savings account earning interest. I would argue that you'd have had less return over that period of time with the interest because interest rates were so low. But there are other vehicles that you can use. Gold and silver is not the only one to make money and to retain wealth. So back to that original clip of the video, unfortunately, there is this misconception about gold and silver not being something that you can make thousands and thousands of pounds with. If you do it right, if you save, if you have good sort of ethos and outlook on life, then you can definitely earn money with gold and silver. You can save money, which is, as I said, a penny saved is a penny earned. And then if you really want to get going and do something different with your life, then I am testament to that, as are, I'm sure, thousands of other people around the world who've done similar things with different businesses. So you've just got to put in the work. You have to put in the work. And if you don't put in the work, you are going to be left there sitting and wondering why it's not working for you. Because there's no such thing as a free lunch. Anyway, look, I've rambled on long enough in this video. So thank you all for watching. We'll see you on the next one. Thanks to the Cool Kids Club members. You guys absolutely rock. And we'll see you next time. Thanks as always.